We've all been in that meeting. The big new change gets announced, and almost right away, you hear a certain phrase pop up. It's a phrase that sounds so noble, so empathetic, it's almost impossible to argue with. I'm worried about my coworkers. Now, on the surface, that sounds great, right? It sounds like care and solidarity. It points to a healthy culture where people actually look out for each other. But in the world of organizational change, that same exact phrase can also be a massive red flag. So, which one is it? Is it a sign of a really connected team? Or is it just the most socially acceptable way to say, no, I don't want to do this? Well, that's the mystery we're going to unpack today. And believe it or not, the answer is hiding in a single, really fascinating piece of data. Okay, let's dive in. To solve this little puzzle, we have to look past the words people are saying and search for a hidden pattern underneath. We're on the hunt for a kind of tribal code that connects this worry to a much, much deeper human instinct. So, a global poll was done, over 400 people across 58 countries, and it asked a pretty simple question: why do you resist change? And when all the data was analyzed, one correlation just jumped off the page: a specific statistical link between saying, I'm worried about my coworkers, and a particular psychological profile. And here it is, our hero number, positive 0.0926. Now, this is the Pearson correlation between expressing that concern for coworkers and what the psychological model of spiral dynamics calls the purple value system. Now, I know it's not a huge number, but it's statistically significant, and it tells a really powerful story. So what on earth is this purple mindset, or as the model calls it, a vMEME? Well, think of it as our oldest, most foundational human operating system. It's the code of the tribe. It's all about finding safety inside a close-knit group. It honors traditions and rituals, and more than anything, it demands absolute loyalty. The group's survival is, well, it's everything. And this really gets to the core of it. When someone who's operating from that purple mindset resists change because they're worried about their coworkers, they aren't just making an excuse. For them, they're performing what they see as a sacred duty. Change isn't judged on its own merits. It's filtered through one single crucial question: does this threaten our tribe? And if the answer is yes, then resistance isn't just an option, it's an act of loyalty. Now here's where it gets really interesting. This purple mindset is just one way of seeing the world. Turns out different value systems resist change for completely different reasons, and they're driven by totally different fears. Okay, let's look at this spectrum. For purple, the fear is almost existential. Breaking the tribe's bonds means losing your safety net. But for the red mindset, which is all about power, the fear is personal, losing control or looking weak. Then you have orange, which values achievement and progress above all else. Its big fear is inefficiency, any change that wastes time or money or gives up a competitive advantage. And finally, you've got green. Green is focused on human connection and fairness, so it fears causing harm. It's less about the tribe's survival and more about making sure that no single person gets left behind. You see? Same resistance, totally different source code. So, this is the big takeaway. Understanding these hidden codes isn't just some academic exercise. It completely changes how we lead. It lets us move from just guessing how people will react to actually predicting the ripple effect of our decisions. But how does this actually work in practice? How does knowing if your team is mostly purple or orange or green change a real-world nuts and bolts management decision? Let's run a little simulation with a tough real-world scenario. Imagine leadership announces a period of mandatory unpaid vacation to cut costs. Ouch. It's a single action that, according to this model, is going to produce wildly different results. The old way of thinking, our gut instinct, assumes a universal negative reaction. Everyone loses pay, so obviously everyone's going to be upset. Simple. But the new data-driven prediction says not so fast. The reaction isn't universal at all. It depends entirely on the team's dominant value system. Now, get this. For a purple dominant team, this action actually has a positive correlation. They see it as a kind of ritual sacrifice. The chief has asked the tribe to endure a hardship together so they can survive. This shared struggle doesn't break them. It actually strengthens their bonds. It brings them closer. But for an orange-dominant team, the reaction is the complete opposite, a strong negative correlation. The orange mindset is about achievement, progress, winning. Unpaid vacation is just inefficient. It's a forced stop. It's not a shared struggle. It's a loss. I guarantee they'll probably be updating their resumes that very afternoon. And then we have the green team. They also show a positive correlation, but for a very different reason than purple. They'll accept it if the sacrifice is framed as saving jobs. Their community focus means they'll willingly take a personal hit to protect another individual, like, Bob in accounting. So same action, 3 teams, 3 completely different and predictable outcomes. But, and this is a big but, this protective tribal instinct is not without its shadow side. While that loyalty is totally understandable, if it's the only operating system running, it can lead to some pretty significant problems. It's when that protection turns into paralysis. An over-reliance on this code creates what you could call the purple shadow. It can lead to change paralysis, where basically any adaptation is seen as a threat. It enables stagnation, trapping a team in the past. And by assuming everyone feels the same, it denies individual agency, which can end up harming the very people it's trying to protect. So what's the big takeaway here? The goal is not to get rid of the purple mindset. I mean, it's the foundation of community. The goal is to understand it and integrate it into a more sophisticated, data-driven blueprint for leadership. It's about moving from gut feelings to a real science of organizational stability. And here's what that blueprint actually looks like. Step 1, you survey. You measure the invisible forces, things like fear and trust. Step 2, you profile. You map the psychological vector of your team. Third, you wait. You decide what actually matters most to your organization. Fourth, you model. You run simulations to see the ripple effects before you act. And finally, number 5, you act, making the decision that has the highest probability of success for your specific team. And that leaves us with a pretty fascinating final thought. We started with a simple phrase, I'm worried about my coworkers, and we ended up uncovering this deep, predictable code of human behavior. This data suggests that all the soft stuff, culture, trust, fear, conscience, it might not be so soft after all. It can be measured, it can be modeled, it can be navigated. So if an organization's conscience can be calculated, what can't be?